I had a question about if you there's the probably the biggest side effect is it kills your reproductive ability
Yes.
entirely.
It can.
Does it can
done
do it
improperly?
unrevertedly, like they cannot reverse that?
Well, yes. See, when you have a young person who hasn't had children and their testosterone level is low, I always get them to sign consent, and there's a special, disclosure that we discussed that they may become infertile, and so on those patients, I put them on HCG. I don't use HCG for everybody, but I definitely do it on the people who want to maintain
That was
fertility.
going to be my other question. Yeah, an ICG.
And so yeah, it serves its purposes. And some doctors just give it to everybody. It's like a cookie cutter thing. Not necessarily, because some people say they have ED issues with ACG. I've seen it enough times that I'm like, okay, stop it, and it goes away. It could just be individual, right? But I've had enough of them say, hey, I take it, and I get ED. I don't take it, I'm fine. So don't take it.
I've noticed that my sex drive and my muscle fullness is different when I take HCG.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed
Now,
that.
the whole thought process was signal. You got to feedback backfeed the pathway from the beginning, because HCG's goes all the way up to progesterone, and it kind of feeds the pathway forward. But when you have too many things going on, you're not sure what's doing what. So I usually don't use it unless it's someone who's interested in fertility and they're young. So if that's the case, then I put them on HCG to maintain testicular volume and function.
Most bodybuilders would argue and say, hey, man, when you inject, testosterone, why would you want to confuse your body and give it, HCG? It still kills it. It doesn't make sense
Exactly.
to do it. What is your take on that?
I agree to some respect. If it's doing the same thing, why add a second agent that's doing the same thing? Mm-hmm. So I understand the purity. You just keep it clear. This does that, and that's what you want. Testosterone will do all that. Why add a second agent that kind of does something similar to the first agent? It makes no sense. But it does serve its purpose otherwise in regards to fertility. And some guys don't have big testicles, and they don't want their testicles to go away. And so in those guys, we give them a dose that keeps those testicles as they are.
Okay, so that's what's going to keep your fertility around there?
No, there's two different. Fertility may be maintained. It may not. It's not a guarantee. Although I've had quite a few patients who went on to have children years after being on TRT. But there's no guarantee everybody can do that, right?
Absolutely. At what point it becomes irreversible?
The problem is there aren't any studies like this. As best as we can tell from the urology, a lot of this information comes from the urology literature, mm-hmm. right? And most people don't read urology literature. Mm-hmm. I do. I read diabetic and urology literature.
Mm-hmm. You have to.
I got nothing else going. I already read all the bodybuilding stuff.
We'll get to the bodybuilding stuff.
So, what was the question again?
we were talking about unreversible testosterone side effects.
If you've been on steroid cycles for a couple of years, fertility might be irreversible. Infertility, I should say. But you can try it, and you can always. It's a semen analysis. You can always just. You'll see there's very little sperm or very inactive sperm, and then you start therapy, and there's a bunch of different medications you can use, and you can always keep an eye on. It's just a sperm analysis. They'll let you know.
What do you think about people doing HCG along with Clomid, or is it for reproductive purposes to increase your secretion of your testosterone?
There's more than one way to skin a cat, and when it comes to fertility, I've seen it every way. And it's in the literature. They've done it. They ran it every way. They ran it Clomid. They ran it Clomid HCG. They ran HCG by itself. They ran Clomid by itself. They ran Clomid with Arimidex. They ran HCG with Arimidex. They've done all that stuff, and so most of them work. It's just different dosing. They've actually done dosing where it's like as high as like 2,500 units every other day to 1,000 units to 500 units.
What would be your classic take on taking HCG? Let's say if you're on TRT and want to keep the
Well, the receptors saturate roughly around 350 to 400. So that's kind of where you want to keep it, because you start going above that for a long time, you can get antibody formation, right? And so you don't want that. You don't want to eventually shut your own stuff down because you made antibodies to it. So you want to keep it roughly at 500 and under, twice a week. A lot of people do it every other, but the half-life of HCG is 3 days.
Yeah, do you take HCG continuously? What could be the side effect of HCG? And
none really, because all the best they'll do is it'll maybe boost your testosterone by 50 to 100 points, depending on how much you take, or 100 or 150, depending. But
it doesn't shut anything down, right?
Not on its own, because if you're just taking that dose of HCG on TRT, it's the testosterone that's going to shut you down, not so much the HCG. The HCG is just there to keep your testicles going. Your testicles, your pituitary sends a signal to your testicles. It's called luteinizing hormone, and it tells them to make testosterone. But since you got plenty of testosterone around, it tags the pituitary and says, "No, don't send the signal." So now some testicles don't get the signal, and they basically they don't have a job now. They're just retired.
I understand.